Popular parenting expert Dr. Becky, also known as Dr. Becky Kennedy, that's her real name, but most people know her as Dr. Becky. So she's out with a new book. It's for parents who may need help navigating children with very big emotions, you could say. She calls these kids deeply feeling kids.
All of that is normal for a deeply feeling kid. Deeply feeling kid. Deeply feeling kid. Deeply feeling kids.
Dr. Becky's new book is called Leave Me Alone, a good inside story about deeply feeling kids. And you can get it by scanning the QR code on your screen. We make it very easy for you. Dr. Becky, we welcome you back.
Welcome.
I would like to know what a deeply feeling kid is, because some people could say a bratty kid, obnoxious kid, a very annoying kid. You say deeply feeling kid. What is it exactly?
First of all, I always like helping parents understand what's happening underneath behavior. That's not a way of condoning behavior. That's a precondition to changing what's at the core, which is how change actually happens. There are kids who I think of as they're more porous to the world. If you think about your pores, if everyone was bigger, there are kids where they notice more, and then more comes in. So it makes sense if more comes in, they have big reactions more often. And those kids need intense boundaries and limits, but they actually really need us to understand their fears and what's happening underneath so that they can change.
Yeah, but you've got a great example in the book, Little Pia. She's told her mother, I hate you, leave me alone. She's tried to hit her mother. And her mother does this. You're not in trouble. I'm carrying you to your room. I'm going to sit with you. You're a good kid. This is the line that got me. You're a good kid having a hard time. That requires so much patience, because for most parents, the initial reaction is, knock it off.
Or I'm just going to leave you.
Or I'm just going to leave you and let you scream it out.
And look, of course, there's calls on our time. There's times we can't stay in a kid's room. But I actually tell parents it's about understanding conceptually what's happening. The biggest, one of the reasons we're not patient with our kids, beyond the world being so hectic, is that we don't understand our kids. When you don't understand someone, you cannot be patient with them. When you understand them, you have a little bit of a deep breath. Deeply feeling kids are terrified that they are too much for other people. And there's a lot of adults who still carry that fear. And they have that fear because they know they feel things intensely. So in a moment when they're overwhelmed, the reason they even say, leave me alone, is actually because they're terrified.
So they're acting out of fear, not out of
truth. That's exactly right.
So for us as first-time parents with a 3-year-old, this book hits really close to home. There's a feeling of sometimes depression. I'm not able to do the right thing because I feel anger or I feel frustration. Celine she'll say, I'm hungry. Great. 7-course spread. I'm not hungry. What? I'm hungry. The constant changing of the minds. And then we say, well, what are we doing wrong? The fact that we might get a little bit like,
Yeah. I think that's one of the core kind of thought patterns that starts to work against us as a parent, is that we start to use our kids' response as a barometer of our parenting. If a pilot says we have to make an emergency landing and everyone says, oh, really? I don't think the pilot's saying, oh, I'm such a bad pilot. What? You're doing your job. Right. So if you know what your job is, and I always tell a parent, their job is boundaries and understanding. So your kid's going to say, oh, none of this looks good. We only get in a spiral when we let that take over versus this is the food that's available tonight. Also, I get that sometimes nothing tastes good. You don't have to eat, and I'm not making something else. We will get through this together. And now I'm judging my parenting by me doing my role instead of by my kid's reaction to me.
How many kids are deeply feeling kids? Is it half? Is it 2/3? Do we know?
You know, I don't know. I would love to do more. The thing about it, and why I think there's actually more and more of these kids, is if you think about kids like this who are kind of porous, right? The truth is the world is a lot more overstimulating than it ever was. So if you think about those kids, all the screens, all the stimulation, everything in our environment, I think there are more kids today who find that so overwhelming, who get kind of a sensory overload more often.
What's a tactic to use in the example that Vlad used, or a child that yells, leave me alone? Is it first validate their feelings and then impose boundaries? How would you address it?
I actually think the first step is always saying very little, maybe nothing to a kid, and actually using our energy to try to do more to ourselves. People say, so I'm just going to do nothing when my kid says, I hate you. You're not doing nothing. You're doing everything. You're doing nothing to your kid, but you're doing everything inside. Hold on. I'm the parent. Let me take a moment. And then what we're doing is we're not adding more fuel to their emotional fire. So that, I think, is always step one. No one's perfect at it. I'm not either, but we can make small shifts.
I'm so excited to read this book tonight to Celine because she does take these lessons to heart, and she'll remind us a couple of days later, Dr. Becky says this. So this is really wonderful. Please scan the QR code on your screen to buy a copy of Leave Me Alone, a good inside story about deeply feeling kids. It features a question and answer guide to learn more. We'll be right back.